Welcome to the beginner's guide to car setup in F126. If you've never touched the setup menu before, or it feels confusing and overwhelming, this video will finally make everything click. I'm going to explain every important setting in simple terms. No engineering nonsense, no complicated theory, just what you should change and what it actually does to your car on track. Let's get started. Before we dive into the settings, here's the one thing you need to understand. Every setup change affects one of two things. How easy the car is to drive in corners, or how fast the car is on the straights. That's the big picture. It's always a trade-off. Every slider in the setup menu pushes the car towards one of those two directions. Let's start with the most important setting for beginners: aerodynamics. You adjust the front wing and the rear wing. Here's the simple rule: more wing, more grip in corners. Less wing, more speed on the straights. If your car feels unstable, slides around, or struggles to turn, add more wing. If your car feels great in corners, but slow on long straights, lower the wing. That's the basics of it. Aerodynamics is the easiest and most powerful way to make the car feel better immediately. In the 2026 edition, we have two different aero modes when driving, so you can get away with more downforce than you would with the ground effect era cars. That said, going full Monaco wing at every circuit is still not optimal. I personally find a fronty car to suit me better when driving, so I usually have some more front wing, meaning around 4 clicks more in the front than in the rear. Here you can see an example of more wing versus less wing in Melbourne. We can take the chicane with a full gear up when running a bit more wing on the car. In Australia, I like to run 30 front wing and 26 rear wing. Next up is the differential, or diff. This controls how much the rear tires want to rotate at the same speed. Here's the simple version. Lower diff, car turns better. Higher diff, car is more stable when accelerating, but doesn't turn quite as fast, and it's easier to spin out. If your car pushes wide in corners or feels like it doesn't want to rotate, lower the diff. If you need a stronger and more stable exit out of corners, you should raise the diff. But remember, increasing the diff always makes the car harder to control on throttle. The rear tires lock together more, which gives you a faster exit, but also makes the car more sensitive to wheel spin. With too much diff, you might even spin out a lot more. In my opinion, diff is the second most important setting for beginners because it directly affects how easy the car is to control. Thirdly, we have brake bias, how much braking force goes to the front or rear tires. Simple rule: more front bias, safer, more stable braking. More rear bias, better rotation while braking. More front bias gives you safer and more stable braking. It reduces the chance of spinning, but it also makes front wheel lockups more likely and can make the car harder to turn into the corner. More rear brake bias gives you better rotation while braking. It helps you turn into the corner faster, but it also increases the risk of rear wheel lockups and can cause the car to snap or spin if you overdo it. This is a small adjustment, but it gives a big difference in confidence. Now let's quickly cover the rest. These settings matter, but beginners don't need to worry about them too much. Camber and toe. These change the angle of the tires. They give small improvements in grip or stability, but the difference is subtle. You won't feel a huge change as a beginner. You mostly have all of these on minimum setting in most of the tracks. Suspension affects how stiff or soft the car feels. Soft suspension is easier to drive and better over curves. Stiff suspension is more precise, but harder to control. I think this is mostly a preference thing. I like to have stiffer front and softer rear, but your driving style matters a lot. I also try to get the minimum ride height on the car on all the tracks, but this is not nearly as crucial as it was with the ground effect era cars. And then we have tire pressure. Lower pressure gives more grip. Higher pressure makes tires last longer. Again, small changes, not crucial for beginners. Increasing pressure slightly usually makes your tires last longer and increase your straight line speed, but makes cornering more difficult, and vice versa. You can make big difference with tire pressures later on when you have mastered your car control and can build your entire race strategy around the tire life. Here is the most important takeaway from this entire video. If you're new to setups, focus on just 3 things: aerodynamics, differential, and brake bias. These 3 settings give you 90% of the improvement you'll ever feel as a beginner. Once you're comfortable with these, then you can start experimenting with the other advanced options. That's my final advice. Don't try to build the perfect setup on your first day. Start simple, make small changes, feel how the car reacts. And remember, a good setup doesn't make you faster instantly. It makes the car easier to drive so you can be faster. If you found this guide helpful, drop a like, subscribe for more F126 content, and let me know in the comments which track you want a beginner-friendly setup for next. Thanks for watching.